Renu Rana Rana.
On this occasion I will convey the history of King Arthur. King Arthur is among the most famous literary characters of all time. The Arthurian legend of the Knights of the Round Table, Camelot, the quest for the Holy Grail, the love affair of Lancelot and Guinevere, and the wizard Merlin have informed and inspired literary, musical, and other major artistic visions for centuries. There have been countless books, major films, operas, television shows, games, toys, plays, and graphic novels either retelling or inspired by the Arthurian legend which developed in Europe between 1136 to 1485 CE, was revived in the 19th century CE, and remains popular in the present day. The great legendary king is most likely based on an actual historical figure from the 5th or 6th centuries CE. The difficulty in identifying Arthur as a certain historical figure is due to the primary sources which first tell his story. There are early histories which give accounts of the Briton victory over the Saxons at the Battle of Badon Hill, an event closely associated with Arthur, but do not identify the leader of the Britons as Arthur. The figure of Ambrosius Aurelianus is given in the earliest sources, and this would make Ambrosius the best candidate for the historical Arthur, except that other sources cite someone named Arthur as Ambrosius' war chief. It is generally agreed that the legendary Arthur was based on an actual figure, but who he might have been is unclear. The most reasonable understanding is that the legendary Arthur is based on a great historical warrior named Arthur. The claim that the legendary Arthur is based on an actual person is supported by the fact that Arthur is a Welsh name derived from the Roman family name Artorius. The figure of Ambrosius Aurelianus, it is argued, could have had the given name Artorius. Roman names had become common in Britain since the conquest under Claudius in 43 CE. Rome began withdrawing troops in the 3rd century CE to protect the empire from invading barbarians. These difficulties had been increasing in severity for around 200 years by the time of the 5th century CE, and Rome had been steadily decreasing its garrisons in Britain as troops were needed on the continent. By 410 CE, the same year the Goths sacked Rome, all the Roman garrisons had been withdrawn from Britain. Rome's decision to remove the troops left the people of Britain helpless against invaders. The Roman army stationed along Hadrian's Wall and other areas had been the Britons' protectors for over 300 years by this time. With the power of Rome withdrawn, the northern Picts and Scots saw their opportunity and commenced raids on British farms and villages. When no help came from Rome, a British king named Vortigern invited the Saxons to bring a military force to repel the Picts and Scots. The Saxons agreed, but, once they had defeated the invaders, decided to stay. According to the historians Gildas, c. 500 to 570 CE, Bede, 672 to 735 CE, and Nennius, 9th century CE, as well as many others, the Saxon immigration was an invasion, a claim disputed by modern scholars, in which Britain was sacked and looted continually. At this time a great British leader appeared, rallied the people around him, and defeated the Saxons at the Battle of Badon Hill. This hero is called Ambrosius Aurelianus, by Gildas and Bede, and Arthur by Nennius, who is the first historian to mention his name. Arthur already seems to have been well known before Nennius' work. The Welsh poem Y Gododin, an elegy for the warriors who fell at the Battle of Cattraeth in 600 CE, refers to him by name as a great hero. Although extant manuscripts date only from the 13th century CE, the work is thought to have been composed shortly after the battle. It is clear from the preface to History of the Kings of Britain by Geoffrey of Monmouth, circa 1100, circa 1155 CE, that Arthur was regarded as a great king by his time, but Geoffrey's work would elevate him to mythical status. Geoffrey of Monmouth is known as the father of the Arthurian legend for developing the character of King Arthur, adding mythical elements to his story, and introducing many of the central characters and motifs which would later be expanded upon by other writers. The phrase Arthurian legend encompasses a number of different versions of the tale but, in the present day, mainly refers to the English work of Sir Thomas Malory, Le Mort d'Arthur, Death of Arthur, published by William Caxton in 1485 CE. The legend developed from history of the kings of Britain, passing over to France, to Germany, to Spain and Portugal, and back to England with numerous editions and versions proliferating, until Malory compiled, edited, revised, and rewrote a prose version in 1469 CE while he was in prison. That's the history that I can convey this time. I hope it's useful. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe.